everyone, it's Kerry back with you today. I was going through my box of fabric scraps and wanted to find a way to use them up. So I have created these cute little fabric tags. Now this is one of the quickest projects I've ever done, but as is the case with a lot of the projects that I make, they start out with something really simple and then they sort of evolve into something a bit more involved. So I'll show you how I've made these really simple ones, and I'll also show you how to make these more elaborate ones. So let's get started. So to create these simple tags, what I have here is just a stack of distressed tags. I have a regular size stapler, and then this is a stapler that staples the mini staples. I've got over to the side here just a collection of different pieces of scrap fabric. And then I have a little tray full of all sorts of different labels and things that I've already got cut out. I also have this little tool. It's just a travel hair straightener or travel iron. It was very cheap I think I got it from eBay, and I find that's handy because I don't really, lay my scraps flat. So sometimes when they're like this, they're a bit hard to use. So I can just use my little straightener to iron out the creases, and then they'll sit nice and flat on my tag. So we might as well use this piece now. So I just grab a tag and I see how that fabric's going to sit on my tag. Now that's a little bit big for me, so I'm just going to tear it down a bit. And then I'll pick from my labels a coordinating label that I feel looks good with the fabric. So that's got a brown border. It's picking up on the browns in this fabric, and I'm happy with that. So I just take my normal stapler, normal size stapler, and I want to make sure that I'm going through the fabric at some point so that it's holding my fabric down, because I haven't used any glue or anything to hold that down. If you're worried about it coming loose from underneath, you could add another staple, but it's such a small piece, I'm not worried about it. I'm happy with that. Now you will have staples going through to the back, so if you wanted to use the back of the tag for journaling space and you're worried about these staples, you can hammer them flat with a little craft hammer, and then you could either pop another label or a piece of coffee dyed paper or something like that over the back. But it's really that simple. It's just grabbing anything from your fabric scraps. So I've got a longer green bit here. That one can go on this one. And then I'll find a label that I like. So I've picked this one here. And then again, I'm just going to staple, making sure that I catch the fabric at some point with my staple. And that's it. So really super quick and simple for that one. If you like the simplicity of it, but you feel like it's just a little bit too simple, you can add 2 different pieces of fabric and just stitch around the edge, and that'll give you a little bit more interest without having to be too, detailed with it. So you might decide you want to get a little bit more elaborate with your tags. So this one, for example, has some modelling paste that I've popped through a stencil. You could easily do this with ink as well. And then I've added 2 different fabrics with my coordinating label just to give it a bit more interest. So I'll quickly show you how I've achieved this. So I'm just going to pop a bit of stenciling on these 3 tags. So for my first tag, I want to use this top part of the stencil with this little notes word here, but I need to make sure that I'm masking off this edge of my stencil. Otherwise, when I go over it with my stencil brush, I'm going to have the outline of the stencil, and I don't want to have that on my tag. So if I don't mask it off, I'll have my notes word, but I'll have this sort of over inking from the stencil. So I'm going to use a piece of this scrap paper just to mask off the edge of my stencil there. Just pop that there. Line up where I want the stencil to be first. And then just stick that bit of paper under there. So now I'm protecting the top of my tag from the edge of the stencil. And I'll just apply the ink through the stencil with my stencil brush. Now I don't want the whole tag covered in the image, and I just want a couple of little bits of it here and there on my tag just for interest. That'll do. So now I've got that sort of faded look through the stencil there. So if I take another tag, and I can just pick a different part of the stencil, so I think I might use this number 35 down the bottom here. Now I don't have to worry about masking off here because the stencil is completely covering my tag. Might have that big number 2 as well. And then I'm going to move my stencil slightly and have this set of numbers here and here. There we go. So same stencil, looks completely different. And then you can always go in and use multiple different colours on the one stencil. So I'll just grab this green and I might turn the stencil around this time, and we'll have this number here in green. Now I might pick up a little bit of the brown as well because I haven't cleaned the stencil. And then I'll have this bit of text here across the top. Now I don't want that little edge of the 9 to show up either, so I'm just going to use the same masking technique, but this time it's on top of the stencil rather than underneath it. So these ones I've used the same stencil, but I've popped a bit of modelling paste through the stencil, and that's given me a different look again. So the other thing that you can do to add a little bit of interest in the background is some stamping. So I've just got some brown ink here, and I've got this little postcard stamp from Darkroom Door, and I want to stamp that off because I don't want it so dark on my background. And then I'm just going to randomly stamp it here and there, so I get something like that. And then I'm going to add a few numbers on there as well. So I might pop that one there, and might just pop this signature down the bottom here. There we go. So that's another background ready to go. So I've got these 3 backgrounds now in front of me, and I'm just going to add the fabric and labels to them in the same fashion as we did the simple ones. So I might have a piece of this fabric on that one. And it's got this red in here, so I want to find something that's going to help bring that out a bit as well. So I'll just layer those 2 fabrics up, and then I want to find a label to coordinate with that. So I'll just pop that one on using my big stapler. Now I'm going to pop a staple in the middle of the 2 fabrics as well, just to help hold those into place. And then I've got a little tiny label here. I'm going to use my small stapler just to attach that onto the bottom of the fabric here for a bit more interest. So there's another one that's just a little bit more elaborate there. So same thing on this one, I've just got the modelling paste in the background, so I'm just going to pick some fabrics and layer them up. So now I have my slightly more elaborate ones. Now you may have seen with this one I had to pull the staple out because I hadn't caught the fabric. So if that happens, you just easily remove the staple, or you could leave it in there and just add another staple onto it. And on this one, because I'm going through 3 layers of fabric and 2 layers of card, my stapler sort of struggled a little bit, but it's in there now, so I think it's all right. If you have larger scraps of the same fabric, you could make a coordinating set. So I had a larger amount of this sort of rose fabric. I've just popped some different coordinating fabrics on each tag, so they all look a bit different, but they're all still part of the same set. And the same with these ones down here with this map fabric. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. They are really quick and fun to make and a little bit addictive. You'll find links below to all of the items that I've used in today's project. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you again next time. Bye.